Once upon a time, I was walking through TJ Maxx and found an Our Lady of Guadalupe necklace. It had an image of Our Lady with gold embellishments all encased in what I thought was glass. I wondered, how do you make something like this? Not long after, my friend Kate, who you may remember from other videos on my channel, taught me how to make UV resin jewelry. She showed me how to make earrings, and it was so much fun, I knew I wanted to create a Catholic-inspired resin jewelry tutorial. I wanted to share this with fellow Catholic creatives so you could make jewelry and resin art inspired by your love of the faith. It took me longer than expected to get this tutorial filmed, but I'm excited to finally share some different ideas to inspire your own projects. A big thank you to the generous viewer who donated the UV resin starter kit. I appreciate your patience, and I also picked up some extra supplies from Hobby Lobby. UV resin is neat because it looks like glass. You can use molds or bezels to create jewelry, coasters, and other art pieces. There are plenty of tutorials online, but in today's video, I'll walk you through some UV resin basics with a Catholic twist. I may not be a jewelry maker, but I think it's a lot of fun. Imagine being able to create custom rosary centerpieces, jewelry inspired by the sacraments, pieces that reflect the liturgical seasons or devotions you love. These also make meaningful gifts. My hope is that this video inspires you to connect with God through your creativity, whether with family, friends, or a small group. We'll learn how to mix colors, use pressed flowers and other add-ins, and create jewelry with religious artwork. I'll also show you a stained glass technique. Feel free to use the chapters in this video to skip to different techniques if that's helpful. For this project, you'll need UV resin jewelry supplies. There are a lot of options out there, so I recommend starting with a kit from a craft store or an online retailer. It's often the most economical option. The basics are UV resin, a UV light, a mold, or bezels. Optional supplies include tape to seal open bezels, pigments to color your resin, and fillers like glitter, sequins, mica powder, paint pens, photos, or pressed flowers. You'll want small cups for creating custom resin mixes and sticks for stirring, plus gloves, tweezers, and possibly a face mask. Make sure you're working in a ventilated space and you don't mind getting a little messy. Craft stores carry all kinds of fillers, molds, and bezel shapes so you can personalize your jewelry even more. You can also add charms, medals, crucifixes, or personal mementos to complete your look. Let's start with the basics. UV resin is a type of resin cured or hardened with UV light. It usually comes ready to use in a bottle, and you mix it only if you want to add color. You can pour resin into a silicone mold or into a bezel, which is a metal tray. Some bezels are open and some are closed. If you're using an open bezel, stick it to tape first to seal the back so the resin doesn't spill out. You can pour and cure the resin in one layer, but learn from my mistakes. If you do one layer, you have to cure the resin for much longer, otherwise you risk the resin not fully curing. I highly recommend working in thin layers and curing each one at a time. One of the fun parts about resin is working in layers, building up colors or add-ins from back to front. Each layer needs to cure under the UV light before you add the next. Keep in mind that anything you add to the resin, like glitter or flowers, can block the light, so make sure you give everything enough time to cure. If you get an air bubble, pop it with a tool, the flame from a lighter, or a heat gun. You can sometimes buy colored UV resin, but you can also mix your own. Start with a little clear resin in a mixing cup and add pigment, like the drops that came with my kit, until you reach the shade you want. You can also tint resin with glitter or mica powder. After mixing, it's ready to pour into a mold or bezel. For example, I wanted to make a Sacred Heart piece, so I mixed a red pigment into clear resin, poured it into a bezel, and cured it. Once hardened, I added gold foil for the flames and added another thin layer of resin, cured it again, and for my last layer, I used a paint pen to draw the crown of thorns. Then I sealed it with another layer of clear resin, and voila! You can also pour multiple colors at once and let them swirl together for a custom look. I was going for a Jesus walking on water or Jesus calming the storm reference for this mold by adding swirls of blue pigment and resin together. Kits and craft stores often include add-ins like stickers, glitter, and flowers. You can also use your own, maybe pressed flowers from your Mary garden or from a special sacrament occasion like a wedding or a confirmation. To use them, I started with a thin layer of resin for the bottom, cured it, and added a second layer of resin and added my flowers on top while it was still wet. I added more resin to cover up my items, you cure it, and then you just repeat as many times as needed. To use artwork or photos, print out and cut the image you want to use. Make sure that you're either using your own artwork and photos, or you're making sure that the image you're using is open source or that you have permission to use it. I printed one of my Saint Therese paintings. To prevent the ink from bleeding, I sealed the paper with Mod Podge. Make sure you seal the back of the artwork as well. Once sealed, place the artwork into your mold or bezel, cover it with resin, and cure. Add other layers or add-ins as desired, making sure to cure between each layer. I also wanted to try 2 stained glass looking techniques, and for the first one, I found a wooden cross with cutouts at my local Hobby Lobby. I painted it black, taped the back of the cross to prevent leaks, and then I filled each opening of the cross with different colors of resin. You could also blend the colors if desired, and I cured each section as I went to avoid spills. The next technique involves glitter sheets. On a silicone mat, I spread a thin layer of resin and sprinkled different colors of glitter on top. Then I pressed cling wrap over it to thin it out further. After curing, I broke it into shards like glass and used the pieces in a bezel for a stained glass window kind of look. To finish your jewelry, add jump rings, chains, or charms, and a piece of jewelry can be a beautiful reminder of your faith or even start conversations. Even if your design isn't obviously religious, the things you create can still carry deep personal meaning. And remember, creating in a group can build community too. I'd love to see what you make. Feel free to tag me on social media, and I'll include links in the description for all of the supplies I used. I want to remind you that you are loved, God loves you very much, and He loves your artwork very much. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.